You pour yourself something to eat, sit down, and before you even finish the first bite, you're already thinking about what comes next. Not because you're still hungry. Not because the food isn't good. But because somewhere between the plate and the screen, you stopped being present for any of it. And at the end of the day, you're tired, you feel heavy, you wonder why none of your attempts to eat less or move more ever stick. And the honest answer is not that you lack willpower. It's that nobody told you how your body actually works. Not another meal plan. Not another eat less, move more speech you've already heard and already know doesn't hold long term. This is about 5 genuinely strange, science-backed habits that quietly shift how your body handles fat, and most of them take under 2 minutes. But before we get into them, sit with this. Most people who struggle with their weight aren't struggling because they don't try hard enough. They're struggling because they're fighting their own biology with the wrong tools. And by the end of this, you're going to see something about how fat is actually lost that almost no one talks about. Something so counterintuitive it will change how you think about your body entirely. We'll get there. The first habit sounds almost too simple. After you eat, any meal, any size, just get up and walk. Not a workout, not a run. 200 steps. Roughly 2 minutes of slow, casual movement around your space. Here's why it matters. When you eat, your blood sugar rises. Your body has to do something with that glucose. If you sit still, insulin has to work hard to manage it, and what the body can't immediately use gets converted and stored. But when you move, even just walking, your leg muscles start absorbing glucose directly from the bloodstream without waiting for insulin. They just take it. Short walks after meals have been shown in multiple studies to meaningfully blunt the blood sugar rise that follows eating. Not from a pill, not from skipping the food, just from standing up and taking a few steps. You're not burning the meal off. That's not how it works. You're rerouting where the energy goes. Instead of signaling storage, you're signaling use. How many meals do you eat sitting completely still, immediately followed by more sitting? Because if that's most of them, your body is working against you in a very specific, very fixable way, and you didn't even know it. The second habit is about temperature, specifically, how cold your room is when you sleep. Most people sleep in rooms that are too warm. It feels comfortable, but it may be quietly working against your body's ability to process fat overnight. When your body is cool, not freezing, just cool, it activates brown adipose tissue. Brown fat is metabolically active. Its job is to generate heat by burning stored fat, and it only engages in cooler conditions. Sleeping in a room around 18 degrees Celsius can increase brown fat activity over time. Your body burns energy while you sleep, doing work you didn't have to consciously choose. The habit costs you nothing but lowering the thermostat slightly or switching to a lighter blanket. It won't produce dramatic results alone, but stacked with other habits, it shifts your resting baseline in a direction that compounds quietly over weeks. Now here's the thing I mentioned at the start, the fact about fat that most people have never heard, and that will reframe how you understand your own body. When you lose fat, where does it actually go? Most people assume you sweat it out, or your body breaks it down into heat, or it somehow disappears. None of that is accurate. Research published in the British Medical Journal established this clearly. The majority of the fat your body breaks down leaves as carbon dioxide. You breathe it out. Literally, fat is exhaled. The remainder leaves as water, through sweat, urine, breath vapor. But the largest portion exits through your lungs. Every exhale you take during a walk, every breath in the morning, every deep breath at night, that is the mechanism. It is not metaphor. It is published physiology. The researchers who established this noted that most medical professionals they surveyed did not know it either. Why does this matter practically? Because it reframes what fat burning actually is. It's a metabolic process inside your cells, and the byproduct is carbon dioxide that travels to your lungs and is released, which means the more your body is actively cycling oxygen, through movement, through quality sleep, through calm breathing, the more efficiently that process runs. It also means chronic stress directly interferes. Stress contracts your breathing, makes it shallow, and disrupts the physiological state your body needs to process fat efficiently. Stress doesn't just make you eat more. It changes the internal environment in which fat metabolism happens. Which brings us to the fourth habit, and this one I want you to actually test this week. The next time you feel the urge to eat, not because you're physically hungry, but because you're stressed, overwhelmed, or emotionally spiraling. Before you open anything, go to the sink and splash cold water on your face. Not lukewarm, cold. Or hold your breath for 10 seconds and exhale slowly. This is not about willpower. It's about your nervous system. When you're stressed, your body is in a state of sympathetic arousal. That state drives cravings. It pushes you toward high-calorie food as a survival response. Because your brain reads stress as physical danger and wants fast energy. Cold water on the face, particularly around the eyes and forehead, activates the vagus nerve through the diving reflex. Your heart rate drops, your parasympathetic nervous system engages, the alarm signal quiets, and the craving, the overwhelming feeling that you need to eat right now, often dissolves within 30 to 60 seconds. You're not fighting the craving with discipline. You're changing the physiological state that produced it. That is a completely different strategy, and it works in a way that telling yourself no usually doesn't. If this approach resonates, understanding the actual mechanism rather than just the surface instruction, then subscribe. This channel is built on exactly this: grounded, human, practical explanations of how your body and mind actually operate. No extremes, no shame, just clarity. The fifth habit is the most familiar, but most people apply it at the wrong moment. Bitter or unsweetened black coffee genuinely suppresses appetite. Not through psychological substitution, but through specific compounds, primarily chlorogenic acids and caffeine, that interact with hunger-regulating hormones. Ghrelin, the hormone that signals hunger, is measurably reduced after black coffee. The effect is real and has been replicated across studies. The timing is where most people get it wrong. Drinking coffee first thing on an empty stomach, before eating anything, is less effective for appetite management, and in some people it elevates cortisol and anxiety, which, as you now understand, can trigger stress eating later in the day. The more effective approach is to drink a cup of unsweetened black coffee 20 to 30 minutes before your largest meal. What you'll notice over a consistent week is that the volume of food that feels satisfying shifts. You reach enough earlier. You eat less, not because you forced it, but because the body's signals moved in the right direction. No sugar, no oat milk, no syrups. The bitterness itself is part of the mechanism. Your mouth and gut have bitter taste receptors that send satiety signals to the brain. The moment you sweeten it, you're partially neutralizing the effect. Here's the honest summary of why most people's weight loss efforts fail. The effort is real. The intention is real. But the effort is applied to the wrong levers. Restricting calories through discipline, fighting cravings with willpower, pushing through workouts as punishment. None of that changes the underlying biology. It just exhausts you until you stop. 200 steps after a meal, a cooler room at night, the understanding that you are literally exhaling fat, cold water when the stress eating urge hits, black coffee timed before a large meal. None of these are extreme. None require a perfect day. None ask you to become a different person. They ask you to work with your biology instead of against it. Fat loss is not a willpower problem. It was never a character problem. It is a systems problem. And systems can be adjusted quietly, without drama, without self-punishment, without burning out. The version of you that makes consistent progress is not the one who is hardest on themselves. It's the one who understands the mechanisms and makes small adjustments that compound over months. Which of these 5 habits feels most doable to you today? Not next week, today. Let me know in the comments. And if something in this genuinely surprised you, I'd like to know what it was.